as we do from time to time, we'll just run around for 5 minutes in a minute. If you're doing anything, or if there's anything coming up that you're involved in that you just want to mention as a recommendation to someone else, like Phil's players coming up in the green room, we'll just scoot around and probably get half a dozen ideas of things you could do in the next week or so. So if there's anything that you're involved in or anything coming up that you could succinctly in about 20 seconds tell us about, we'll come to that in a second. I'll just tell you what's coming up in the call this morning to give you a bit of thinking time. So we're going to hear from those three beautiful gentlemen at Gallery Northwest in Brampton. That's Stuart, Carl, and Tom, who run Gallery Northwest, which is in Brampton, in the northeast of the county. A new exhibition on, and frankly, a great opportunity to find out a bit more about the gallery, which has been there. How long has it been there for, gentlemen? 2 or 3 years? Is that about right?
Yes, it opened in March 23.
March 23, so just over 2 years. So we'll find out about that. We've got 1 or 2 slides to see and a little film as well. And then we're going to also hear from Simon Whalley, who's joining us at 10 o'clock, who runs Evan, which looks after and curates art, particularly in the Eden area. And they have just curated and built and commissioned, rather, a fantastic shepherd's hut on wheels to act as a studio and a mobile opportunity for performance. So Simon's going to tell us about how that's come about and how it might be useful to you in what you do or someone that you might know about. So we're going to hear from Simon Whalley about that as well. And I'm going to tell you about something quite exciting that is launching next week that I'm going to give you a sneak preview about as well. So I'll tell you about a thing called Curated Cumbria too. So I'm just going to kick off. Has anybody done anything interesting that you recommend for others to hear about? I'll kick off. I went to the Shipping Brow Gallery in Maryport at the weekend. They've got a beautiful exhibition on there, as well as the permanent Mitchell and Percy Kelly exhibitions upstairs. Got a really, really interesting portraiture exhibition downstairs. The name of the artist escapes me. It'll come back to me. Really lovely, sort of intimate.
Joan Prickett.
Say again?
Joan Prickett.
Joan Prickett. Thank you very much, Stuart. I think that was Stuart. Joan Prickett. So if you get a chance to go to the Shipping Brow Gallery, I think it's on for another couple of weeks. Really lovely portraits downstairs that I really enjoyed. Amy, have you been up to anything this week or anything to talk about? You've got your own exhibition coming up soon, haven't you?
I have got my own exhibition, but I'll mention that probably in later weeks. That's 14th of June at Kendal Museum. But I wanted to mention Tully, and I know it's been mentioned a few times recently because it's just recently reopened, but I just recently went there last weekend. And if you've not been to see the new spaces at Tully, they're amazing. There's a great exhibition on at the moment, Winifred Nicholson. And
the rag rugs.
Yeah, rag rugs. That's thoroughly interesting. But I think probably I wanted to highlight the new Carlisle gallery space, exhibition space at the bottom, focused on Carlisle. I think it's a brilliant job. It's, drawing people in. It's there for local people, and it also, visitors are going to get a sense of what Carlisle is. And I think the fact that it pairs like Roman pottery with, a program for the Rolling Stones when they played here in the 1960s. It sort of takes you right through the history, and I think it's just such a good job. It's done so well. They've got a lovely new cafe, and also to point out they've got a new meeting space which community groups can use. So I was there for a meeting last Sunday, and we were in this brand new meeting space. And as far as I'm aware, if you're a community group or a group that needs a space, get in touch with Tully because I think you might be able to use that space. It's lovely.
How many people does it hold?
About maybe 30.
Okay, so quite a size then.
Yeah, it's a good size, and it had it had Zoom connection, internet connection, all of that. So
great. Okay, lovely stuff. So get in touch with them if you want to host that. Phil, just give us a bit more of a spiel about your play.
Oh yeah, sure. It's based on the Blake Edwards Peter Sellers film, the Pink Panther Strikes Again, and there's a cast of about 16 or 17 of us. And it's follows on from the previous film where Clouseau's superior, Inspector Dreyfus, has gone insane, who's played by Herbert Lom in the movies. And Clouseau's trying to track him down and stop his plans for taking over the world. And there's death at every turn, and intrigue and romance and all sorts of things. It's slapstick and wacky and everything. It's the Pink Panther on stage.
How many shows are you doing?
The 6 nights, the Monday to the
6 nights.
Saturday.
Okay, smashing. That's at the Greenwall. Is it Greenwall's Theatre? Is that
It's
that's
the,
that right?
the Green Room,
Green Room
Theatre on West Walls.
on West Walls. Yeah. So just at the side of just off. How do you describe where it is? I don't know. But anyway, it's where that new hotel's going to be built, just down the road from there.
That's
what
right.
Was the name, what was the name of the one that was pulled down?
That was that the Crown Hotel?
Crown Hotel, something like that. Yeah, in Carlisle. I'm getting most things.
Tickets are available on the Green Room website. And
Thank you very much. All right, Phil. Thank you, Dave. I want to do a proper Cumberlandia session with you a bit closer to the wire, but just give us headlines, Dave, on Cumberlandia. Only 90 tickets left on a capacity of 500, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the site will hold 500, and we've just got 90 tickets left, so we think it will probably sell out. So if anybody's thinking about it, and I know some people last year waited until late on to get day tickets. We're only ever going to do day tickets if we don't sell out all the weekend tickets. So if anybody's waiting for day tickets to become available, it would really help to get the word out that we probably don't think there will be day tickets. We think it will sell out.
And this is a lovely site called Rivendale, just between Workington and Cockermouth in West Cumbria, for those of you that are interested. A really great lineup over the weekend. So we'll talk about Cumberlandia a lot more, a little bit closer to the wire, but 90 tickets to go. Thank you, Dave. Gemma, do you want to tell us about Eskdale, if you're there?
Hello. Excuse my camera's off. I'm dyeing my hair, so it's not a good look. Yes, so it's the Eskdale Art Show this weekend. It sounds like it's their 31st annual event. So it's to raise money for the St. Begas School in Eskdale. But I was dropping off some art last night, and there's a lot of artists there, which is brilliant. So we've got private view this evening, and then it's on Saturday until Monday.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. And what colour is your hair going to be?
It's always red. I think I've been dyeing my hair red since I was about 15, but naturally brunette, but there's only a few people that know that.
We all know that now. Well, we can't wait to see it next week, maybe, Gemma. But good luck with the dyeing, and thank you very much for letting us know about that lovely art show.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff. All right, okay, great. Well, it's just nice to hear what's going on. There's always, especially in the summer, there's lots of little festivals bobbing up and exhibitions opening. It's just nice to get around. That's one of the points of the network. Use the Facebook group to put stuff into, and also Amy hoovers up all sorts of ideas through emails coming into our inbox. We get kind of dozens and dozens of stuff coming into the inbox, and so we curate those, and some make it to the newsletter, which goes out every Wednesday, as most of you probably know. Right, I wanted to tell you a thing about, thank you, Kate. Yeah, and Eskdale, what a beautiful part of the world as well. What a beautiful part, any excuse to get to Eskdale, as far as I'm concerned. I wanted just to share with you, first of all, before we get going with our friends at Gallery Northwest, a thing called Curated Cumbria. No, I'll do that at the end. Instead, I'm going to share a picture of me last night, if you can see that picture. This was me and a guy called Andy Smith, who is the man in charge of Kendal Calling, as well as lots of other festivals these days across the country. I was at Eden Arts in Penrith with an organisation called LA23, which is run by Intro, which is run by Nick Turner and Helen Statham, based in Carlisle, just next to the cathedral. They're a PR agency. And they organise these networking events about every couple of months or so, somewhere in Cumbria, about some sort of topic, normally with the business community. So it was sold out. There were about 60 people there. And it was just a chatting with Andy about how on earth you make Kendal Calling exist for 20 years. Did you know that it becomes the third biggest town in Cumbria when it's on? It's 40,000 people, so only smaller than Barrow and Carlisle. It's an enormous logistical machine to make happen. It's £9 million budget. And it was a really nice evening last night. I'm going to make a podcast of the interview that I did with him as well. I kind of managed to record the whole thing. So next week, if you fancy listening into how on earth Kendal Calling works, some very interesting anecdotes and funny stories about various superstars and celebs and how they almost didn't make it to stage, what they do when it absolutely chucks it down with rain, all that sort of stuff. That'll be a podcast that will come out next week. So that's what I was up to last night. It was great fun. Right, well, let's hear from Stuart Fraser, Carl Fitton and Tom Adams, who are sitting there patiently for us in Brampton, sunny Brampton. I suspect in the attic, top room of Gallery
No. This is a state-of-the-art studio space. It used to be a little office just off the gallery, and we'd like. I don't know if you can see, but it's been converted to a little sort of studio space
Excellent.
for our volunteers to come and work in.
All right. Okay. And I
So
think I
we
saw a
come and
kettle
sketch
being boiled.
and paint amongst the beautiful artworks just left of them. So.
All right. Well, very nice to have you with us. You're there in Brampton in a gallery that's been going for a couple of years. Amy is going to share your slides for you.
Thank you.
And the floor is yours, Stuart, to tell us a bit about the story of Gallery Northwest and what's going on there at the moment. And Amy will just move the slides on and play little bits out when you ask her to. So over to you. And by the way, hello to Simon and Victoria.
Well, a warm, sunny welcome to Gallery Northwest. We literally, this used to be an unused office space at one point, and Mike, sorry?
Above the framers.
Yes, above Castle Framing. And Mike Minns, who's the owner of Castle Framing downstairs, had the idea of perhaps that we turn it into a gallery. So this was in September 22 when he first launched the idea. Well, within 6 months we were open. So there was a lot of work went on. We literally took some walls out, opened some space up, put in a fantastic lighting system, and we opened in March 23. And if you could just move the slides on, please, on one, yeah. As you can see there, it's literally two businesses, and they're both separate, but we work so seamlessly together. It's almost as one anyway. And I just have to look at my bullet points to remind myself what I was going to say, because it was a little bit late knowing about this one. So yes, so anyway, it opened up in March 23. And if you move to the next slide, please. I'll just move on to the next one. Right, so the ethos of the gallery. We believe that as a gallery, we should be promoting local artists. As everybody knows, there's many artists and not many exhibition spaces. So there's always a clamour for space. So as a gallery, the ethos is that we will support and will shine a spotlight on creatives, sculptors, artists, jewelers, everything that you can think of. And up to now, we've managed to support, we think, around 50 local artists. That's not including our exhibition spaces. So Tom, who recently was an exhibitor with us, has now joined us as a volunteer member. And maybe, Tom, you can give a little experience.
I suppose I came upon the gallery because I was getting some framing done for myself downstairs, and Mike mentioned, we just opened up the gallery. So I popped up, and Stuart happened to be in, and made me feel very welcome. And I was impressed straight away with the sort of ambience of the place. There's a lot of light in there, and the way that the artwork was arranged made me think, well, I'd like to come back here. And so because I live in Brampton, I'd be popping in, and I'd always go upstairs. And gradually, I sort of got drawn in, chatting to Stuart, getting to know Annie and Carl. And eventually, because I'm an artist myself, fairly new, sort of green, a bit of a beginner, I was offered the space to put some of my own work in. And through that, they let me know that they were making this space available, that if I wanted to sort of volunteer just to meet and greet people, then, think when things were quiet, I could work in the background, I could bring art journal along or do some digital work. Then when anyone pops in, I can welcome them, have a chat with them. And I'm really enjoying it, meeting art lovers, local artists. They even offer their advice. So, to me, that's my payment. I'm getting free tutorials every time an artist comes in. So I'm doing about sort of 4 hours on a morning of a week. And I think the hope is that we can get some more volunteers from the local community. So that's me.
Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, Tom asked me a question last week. Was it last week? I'm losing track. And literally asked me, what is it for us? Why do we do this? And I answered, because we love art. And I think that is the question. We do love art, all of us. We're all artists, and we run the gallery for artists. And I think we understand them. So to offer people the opportunity to be able to have some exhibition space, it's a wonderful thing, really. What about you, Carl? Have you got any
Yeah, it's just nice to get a bit of an art community together. So when we have a new artist exhibiting in the exhibition space, because we have sort of like 5 spaces essentially. One is more 3D, and then we've got 3 smaller rooms that are 2D predominantly, but with some 3D in. And then we have a little section downstairs as well, which Mike lets us use part of that for our work as well, so we can spread down there a little bit as well. But it's nice when we have an open evening when we've got some new artists exhibiting, we get a few people together. We've had one recently, and we had a few talks from the artists, which was really nice.
Next, so
right, okay.
Okay. Tom's actually put up here, we have a problem being a first floor gallery. Accessibility is an issue for us, and one of the, not a solution, but one of the helpful things we tried to do was to create this 360 walkthrough. And Tom's now showing it to you. So it lets you see and walk through the gallery, and it can be viewed from a tablet downstairs. So for anybody who can't get up the stairs, we can offer them an opportunity to go and view the gallery. And Tom's doing a marvelous job there of just zooming through. So that's our 3D room through there, Tom.
You've got a lot, and it's so light and airy, isn't it? You've got a lot of, someone I think mentioned, was it you, Carl? I can't remember. Someone mentioned how good the light was, but it's lovely, and you're exhibiting beautifully there.
Well, that was one of the things we wanted to really do, was to put in a really good lighting system, and also ambient decor as well. As you can see, it's not just all white or plain walls. We've got bits of colour here and there, just to create.
And this is above the framing shop in Brampton, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So a lot of people know where that is. So it's on Main Street. Is it called Main Street?
Yes. It's Front Street.
Yeah.
Front Street. Yeah. So this is our main exhibition room that you're in now. This usually we have an events program which we'll talk about next. But this is usually where we have our exhibitions.
Sometimes we'll have 2 artists, one on each side. Sometimes just one, depending on the artist and their requirements.
And that door on the left that you're going to pass now, that's where we're sitting at this moment. Right? You saw that door.
Okay. And by the way, I can't take any credit for this. Amy's doing all of this.
Oh, well done. Thank you, Amy. You've done a great job.
Right, so tell us a bit more about I think you've got a current exhibition, haven't you, Stuart?
Yes. So if you go to the next slide after this one, we'll actually show a little video in a second or two. Just one moment. Sorry, we've got a little knock on our office door there.
That's quite all right. Amy's just going to pull the slide back up, and we'll also have access to the film. So tell us about the exhibition, and then we'll show the film, Stuart.
Right. So we have an exhibition at the moment. It's called Up Close and Personal, and we have got 10 really amazing female artists, including Kate Bentley, who's a Royal Institute, Royal Society of Watercolours. Many of them are sort of Lake Artists Society also. So to have 10 female artists under one roof is quite an amazing thing to do. So they're occupying 2 of our top rooms, and we launched on March 17th. Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. You carry on.
Yeah, it's the problems of being in a gallery, because people come in and disturb you. But essentially, if you run the video, this is a little video that we created from the preview evening. And it'll give you a little flavour.
It came from my neighbour's garden, and my husband prepared the wine for me, so he's getting into what may have, which is great.
Seasoned water.
Yeah, it's better if it's seasoned, a year or two, but I'm experimenting, so at the moment I'm trying all sorts of different things.
That's great. Thank you very much. I just muted you, Stuart, while that was playing. So you just need to unmute yourself again. And that's open for a couple of weeks or so, I think, still.
Yeah, it opens until June 10th. So another 3 weeks, is it, roughly? Yeah. That gives you an indication more than I could tell you. You know, obviously, seeing things is much more important. Last but not least, being above the framing shop downstairs. Castle Framing is a really successful business. And many of our artists who come here also benefit from the framing and the print service. So we thought we'd give a little mention to Mike and his team downstairs, because we do work together quite seamlessly. And I think that's all we have to say, really, apart from come and see us, because I think you'll be amazed by the art that's on display. We have some fantastic artists, really do.
And you have permanent stuff as well as temporary exhibitions.
We have probably around 25 to 30 resident artists at any one time. And we have a sort of rolling exhibition program. If you visit our website, you'll actually see that we've got exhibitions planned up to December this year. Okay. Not quite sure about December, what we're going to do, but it runs usually from year to year. Sometimes, as Carl said, it's only one or sometimes two artists.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's literally 10 occupying 2 rooms upstairs. So it always changes. And I always say that even on a greyest day, the sun always shines in Gallery Northwest. So that's your reason to come.
That's a great reason to come. Thank you very much indeed. And, you know, just obviously there's a lot of love involved in running this gallery. Money's always a challenge. Funding's always a challenge. Right. Sounds like you've got a good agreement with the fella downstairs with the picture framing. 2 years, do you feel like you've kind of, you've reached a stage whereby you've got firm footings now and that you can see into the future a bit?
Yes, because the climate at the moment is not conducive to any kind of retail business. But I think we have got ourselves on a firm footing. We said we'd have a 5-year plan, didn't we? Yeah. That was our plan, was 5 years. And obviously the first 5 years is going to be just getting the word out.
Yeah.
Letting people know that we're here. And that's starting to happen now. We've spent a lot of money on advertising, art magazines and Cumbria Live and further afield. And now with yourselves. So there we are.
Well, congratulations. Stay in touch. I think Cumbria is full of quite small organisations like yourselves that punch above their weight, but they need all the support and help of colleagues and networks like this to kind of scratch your back and we'll scratch yours and all that kind of stuff, and collaborating and help, as you say, helping to publicise and promote what you do. So stay in touch with the network, and it's been great to have you on this morning. Thank you for taking the time out to put those slides together. That 360 thing is fantastic, by the way. I don't know who did that. Yeah. Did you commission that from someone, or was that one of you?
Yes, it's a guy called John Morgan, and right. I think it's called 360 Media Solutions. Right. If you look him up online, it pops up. Great guy, great guy, and he just comes in and spends about 2 hours going through with his cameras.
Yeah, that's great.
Every room in 3D. It's amazing.
Really effective. Amy's got a hand up. Amy.
Hello. Yeah, I just wondered if you've got artists on this call or further afield who are looking to exhibit, are you actually on the lookout for artists, or have you got enough people wanting to exhibit, or do you want people to get in touch?
That's a very good question, because we're always wanting people to get in touch. Because, for example, in June,
it's all happening at Gallery Northwest.
Well, this is it. This is a business.
Is that someone's ringtone, or was that the fire alarm going off?
No, that was my ringtone. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. I thought I put it up to mute, but it obviously hadn't. Yes, so in June we've got, I think there's another 6 new artists in June coming to us, but we're always looking for new artists. We're always looking for that next big fella.
Yeah.
So please, if you go to our website, there's actually a section in there where you can apply. Okay. And there's a procedure. So go through the website, fill in the forms, and we'll get back in touch with you, and we'll do some sort of chatting together and see if you fit, really. And quite often it's not about if you're good enough, it's about do you fit at the time, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
All right,
If
thanks,
you're an
Stuart.
artist, please apply.
Thank you.
We
All
want
right,
to see you.
excellent stuff. The door is open. Thank you very much, chaps. We're now going to go a little bit further south down the kind of M6 corridor, and we're going to find Simon Whalley, who, as a lot of you will know, runs Evan, which is a really successful network across parts of Cumbria that delves into all sorts of different art forms, probably primarily, I guess, visual arts, but does music and all sorts of other things as well. And Simon's nice to see you, Simon. How are you?
Hi, Tom. Hi, folks. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks.
Good to see you. Yeah. And Simon's done a great piece of work, and I'm going to let him tell you all about it. And as I alluded to in the introduction earlier in the call, it's about creating a new space for art performance to take place, not just in one spot either, as a mobile space. So Simon's going to tell us a bit about the story behind the new piece of work, and we've got some slides with some great pictures on to show you what it's all about. So Simon, over to you. The floor is yours.
Grand. Thanks, Tom. Can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Oh, well, firstly, just thanks for giving me the time to come on the call. Nice to see folks. Good to see Stuart's gallery and the team up there all doing so well. I was just thinking it'd be great to have a local sort of artist studio or galleries in every small town around Cumbria. That might be something to aim for. So yeah, just my sort of chat today. My creative sort of bent is towards nature photography. I've got a gallery in Penrith with my partner Gwen called the Wilder Clay Gallery. My sort of when I'm not being creative and trying to make money from creative works, my professional sort of the other side of me is personal development work. Really, I'm a qualified youth and community worker and done a lot of leadership development work over the years. And I guess that's always stayed with me. And so we set up Evan, the Eden Valley Artistic Network, which has now grown to be a network of 170 artists based from Penrith up towards where Stuart is and then further south and around and also across to the West Coast, and anybody's welcome to join. We set that up in 2017 as a bit of a response for, in a similar way to Stuart and the team there, that local artists kind of can take more control of things and make more things happen. And perhaps as artists, we need to do that for ourselves and not wait for funders necessarily. And hopefully if we get on the journey, we can create things. So as part of that, we have an open studios event. We have a gallery similar to Stuart there. We also put on some music events through the winters, and we've worked really well with local councils. So Eden District Council have been really supportive, or were really supportive, until obviously we became Westmoreland and Furness. And then in that transition, they've been very supportive to us as an organisation. And I think there's something for me, Tom, you were mentioning small organisations, having that really good relationship with the council, the local council, and being part of their strategy and working really well with them. And one of the things I'd always had in my mind was, maybe for the last 2 or 3 years, about a mobile space. We're a rural kind of area, Eden. There's probably good facilities in the bigger towns like Penrith, but then also sometimes there isn't that facility, although there are some brilliant village halls. But if you actually want to take things out and move things around a bit and just have a bit more flex, the notion of what I called Ash was an artistic shepherd's hut. So that was really a shepherd's hut. Obviously that fits with our rural heritage, that could be moved around and used for 3 main purposes. One, as a stage, as you can see on that initial picture there today, wide open big barn doors. Secondly, if you close those doors, as an exhibition space, or even have them open, an exhibition space, a place where you could meet artists, they could be there. And thirdly, kind of with my focus really also as well, a wildlife hide. So it could be a wildlife hide, you can sit in either end of it and use it as a hide if it's positioned somewhere. So that was the idea. I kind of went for funding from various sources, looked around, thought it's a good idea. And I suppose the thing that kept me going with this was whenever I mentioned it to people, they said, that's a good idea. They didn't say, oh, Simon, that's another one of your crazy ideas that'll never happen, which quite often happens to me at times. But it was sort of like this, yeah, that's a good idea, that. So I kept at it. And when the Shared Prosperity Fund came up a year ago now, I kind of thought, well, we should go for that as Evan. We should go for it with the Ash. I chatted to the other directors. So when we worked really well then, and one of the things I like about the Shared Prosperity Fund, And the way of working is that the local council help the smaller orgs to put their bids together, because as we all know, smaller voluntary organisations, we don't have the time, the expertise as much. We've got great ideas, but actually putting bids together is probably the thing that stops us the most, if we're honest. So we worked well with them. We put a bid in and we got the money, about 18 grand to build a shepherd's hut, basically. So I'd been doing some research. So if you just flick onto the next slide for me, Amy, that'd be brilliant. I'd been doing some research as to who I wanted to build this. And obviously, if you're going to have a mobile shepherd's hut, probably the most important thing is actually the trailer. And I've learned a lot about trailers in the last 6 months. So we got the money sort of last September time, I think, and we had to deliver by 31st of March this year. I was chatting to Kate from the council again just recently, and the central government and shared prosperity fund is very tight on its deadlines. You've got to deliver by the date, which I think is fair enough. So I'd spent some time looking for suitable builders, if you like, of a shepherd's hut. And interestingly, most of the commercial builders, even in Cumbria, and I wanted to source as locally as I could, kind of build for the top end of the market. They build 30, 40 grand shepherd's huts, which are obviously brilliant, but then they're kind of used by private folk, etc. There's less of that kind of, I suppose, coming in a bit less than that, and where we were looking with our budget of 20 grand. But also, I just trolled around a bit, and I desperately wanted to sort of source it as close as I could to Penrith or to Eden. In my searches, I came across a guy called Eddie Howson, who lives the other side of Alston, down the next valley on a bank farm, and builds beautiful shepherd's huts for clients. He's probably got his order books probably full most of the time, but occasionally he advertises on Facebook, and he kind of does things that are a bit more quirky, a bit more adventurous, a bit different, a bit to your design, and probably at a cheaper cost than if you're going elsewhere. So I've already passed his details on to a couple of people in Cumbria who are looking for shepherd's huts. So I worked well with Eddie. He's an ex-builder. He's a very creative guy. He's good at building things. He knows all the specs, the sort of stuff that you need to know for laws, etc. And he sourced this trailer for us from Manchester. £3,000 worth of trailer, which wasn't quite in the budget, but it's like sometimes you have to stretch and just think, right, we're going to make this work. And there's no point skimping on a trailer if you're going to have a thing that moves. Obviously, from my point as director, it's the health and safety side of things and just making sure we're fully compliant with laws. So great trailer. So if you just flick on to the next slide for me, please, Amy, that's great. So this is him building it. As you can see, there's snow on the ground. He built it between October and January. He delivered on time, well, ahead of schedule, basically. It's built, it's got insulation in there. It could be used as a house if we hadn't put the barn doors on. You could live in these sorts of things. They're brilliant. I had a monthly meeting with him where I'd trek out to the other side of Alston, sometimes in the snow, sometimes not in the snow, down the bank to his farm, and I'd spend about an hour with him each time. That's kind of how it worked. It just seemed to suit both of us. He was always keen to get on. You can see some of his other huts in the background there through our hut on the left picture. And this is just the start of that construction. Larch timber boards on the outside, solid wooden frame on the inside, insulated. We spent quite a lot of time again sourcing windows, because I wanted windows that looked good. It uses white quite often. I don't like white so much. I think it's a bit jarry with the huts. So, but also there's so much material. I guess these windows are bought secondhand from a building site. But they're brand new. So many developments with so much stuff left over, and you've just got to know where to look. And Eddie's quite good on that sort of linking into things. So I think we spent 400 quid on windows that probably should have cost 1,200 to 1,300 quid. And they open just for vent. They open fully, if you think of it as a normal window that opens wide either way, really. So that kind of means photography-wise, they're good for the wildlife stuff. And they also give us enough light for artists. We kind of created 2 spaces down each end, so fully insulated. We were thinking about having sliding doors, like patio doors on one side, but that became quite a big issue, really, and I didn't think it would fit in the end with the aesthetics. So we looked at that, and then we kind of decided on barn doors. And we got another guy, because it's interesting. I think local craftsman, Eddie didn't think he was skilled enough to build the barn doors. So we actually went to the local agricultural suppliers locally, just out of Penrith here, and while we were there, met with a guy who builds barn doors in Cumbria. So he built us a fantastic Keith Golding, a fantastic set of doors to go on, made to measure. You know, he went then out to see Eddie and worked together, and they fitted perfectly in the space. So that they kind of delivered the project ahead of time. It was sort of end of February, I think we were ready. So if you just kind of click onto the next slide for us, Amy, that's great. So then what we wanted to do, what I've always wanted to do, was make sure the hut's going to be used as much as possible. So some of the time when it's not moving, you could say it's being stored, and that was a notion we had in our head. But we kind of thought about that. We looked at ideas, and then there's great guys who are running a forest school just out of Penrith, about 5 miles out near Greystoke there, behind the Clickham Inn, if you kind of know the area, called Branch Out. Helen and Rich, and that's Helen's business, running forest schools in the woodlands there, some woodland that they own on their farm. So I had a chat with her and said, you know, could you store this for us? One, should we create a base on site for you, so actually the school kids could use it day in, day out when it's not on tour or going anywhere? And that's where we've got to now. And so it kind of is going to work well for all of us. That's where it's stored. We're just doing the hardcore for a nice permanent site for it. It'll be sited there. It'll then be available to any artist as a retreat almost. Go off grid for an afternoon, a day, go out there, sit in the woods, have a shelter, a nice place to be. We can have some facilities, a sort of sign-in book, a small fee, £5, £10, and just create that sort of space when it's not being used by the youngsters in the forest school. They'll maybe have it a couple of days. And then obviously, as you can see now, it's larch cladding, inside, and professionally done, really nicely done inside for an exhibition space. And then I kind of, my biggest kind of thing is been about moving this around, sort of health and safety wise. And I'd spoken to a guy called Tatty Tim. So for those of you that know Penrith, he sells the spuds in the middle of town.
I had one of his spuds last night from Tatty.
Did you? There you go.
Yeah, it's great.
He's world famous, you know. So that's a good plug for Tatty Tim if you're ever in Penrith. It sort of turned out that he wasn't quite feeling confident about moving this thing about, although he's got the vehicle to do it, because you kind of need the vehicle with the right tonnage, the right pulling capacity, etc. And that kind of put us on another quest. And then actually through one of our other directors, Tom, we found a great guy, Jim. And Jim actually farms within 2 miles of where we got it based. He's a young farmer. I went out, had a chat with him. He brought his vehicle out. He can back this thing up and down and round corners without even sort of blinking, really, because it's what he does for a living. And we're paying him £50 an hour to move it. So he's the only person who delivers it. If you are looking for it, he'll deliver it. It's £50 an hour. That money goes to him because obviously he's got the vehicle insurance to kind of move it and be legal and be safe with it on the road. And that kind of means it's possible, and also we're creating a bit of local income for him. And so this is it coming out of the woods on the right there for the first time, which was just towards May Day for Penrith's May Day bank holiday. If you just flick onto the last slide for me, Amy, that's brilliant. So this is it coming out, and this is it then delivered by Jim to the middle of Penrith town on one of the busiest days locally, just recently, the May Day Festival. The second picture on the left there, parked it up in the loading bay just opposite where Tatty Tim is, right in the middle of town. Helped me kind of settle it all down, you know, make sure we got it all level, got things set up, nice bit of bunting on the outside, and then opened the doors. And then we used it that day for Picturing Penrith for 3 artists to be based in. Just again, we're trying to show people how it might be used and just put it out there, really. So in the morning, we used it for artists to paint from as a base. And then in the afternoon, we had it for solo musicians to play from as a mini stage. And the cello belongs to Kenneth. He's just been on stage. And then Pete Garnett's there playing an organ, accordion, sorry. And we kind of learned from that. It's quite acoustically, it's quite good, actually, Pete was saying. It'll be a nice sort of mini stage then with maybe for 30, 40 people sat opposite, wherever it is. So it's got those sort of 3 or 4 uses. It's quite, you know, with the right driver, it's very mobile. It's available. It's there for people to look at. We've just kind of got the idea of the £50 an hour. So depending on where you are. And I've had a couple of inquiries from the festival at Alston to take it back out to Alston for their festival in July. And obviously we're sort of, funding is going to be an issue, I think, for everybody, but it's there to be used now. It's a kind of slight income stream for Evan. It's there for Evan members, as I say, when it's based as a space to go to. And I think that's all I want to say, Tom, but I'm happy to take any questions or have a notion. And it's great sometimes when you get a lot of knockbacks in the arts world, it's nice to sometimes deliver something and deliver it sort of reasonably quickly. 8 months, and an idea that you thought about is actually a real thing now that will live in Eden for, it's an outdoor shepherd's hut, so it's probably got 10, 20 years of life, and magically there's a trailer company a mile from where it's based that I never knew about in the next village, Newton Trailers, so they can service it for me and give me spares, and I've been in and out of there quite a bit. So things come together sometimes that you just don't expect to come together, really. So that's me.
Well, congratulations, Simon. Lots of love for you in chat
Thanks.
from various people, and it's a really innovative and accessible idea. Just to clarify on the funding then, so when it's parked up in the woods and it's just sitting there with the forest school people could go along there for a small fee just to use it as a space. Is that right?
Yeah. I think we're literally just getting that sorted, but Helen will have it maybe Wednesdays and Fridays when our schools are, and then any other day we'll have a bookable format and people will be able to book it, and it'll be slightly more if you're not an Evan member, and slightly less if you are an Evan member. Okay,
and then if you wanted to hire it out to another part of Cumbria, it will be £50 an hour. That's including getting it to the location, and then as it's at the location itself as well. Is that right?
Well, the £15 an hour is delivery.
That's delivery. Okay.
Probably obvious. We kind of asked for £300 from for Alston, and they're sort of struggling with that. So we're negotiating. Obviously, we can't lose money on, and Jim needs to take it. But like Jim would take it. But you see, Alston's slightly, because it's an hour there and an hour back, so it costs £200 to get it there, kind of thing, and get it back. And I want really that bit where he delivers it, he locks it up, it's got the locks on, it's in position, then we come and pick it up. So for a festival, it's done for you. It's not being moved by the festival organisers, because that gets into all sorts of health and safety issues, really.
But the bottom line is you want it to be used, don't you?
Yeah, sure. It's it's sort of nice, from a youth and community perspective. You create something, you want it to be used, it's here, it'll be here 20, 30 years, if we look after it. I want it to be used by as many people as possible, and let's build some history around the hut,
Yeah, it's also great. So in another life, when I worked at the BBC, I worked on a program called the Listening Project, which was on Radio 4. And for a year, we pulled a converted caravan around the UK, which basically, because it was a mobile studio, and we scooped up recordings of interviews. The Listening Project is basically two people talking to each other who know each other about a topic that they've got in common. And so having a mobile studio allowed us to get into places. So rather than people coming into BBC studios, which is a bit intimidating, blah, 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 what a mobile unit like yours does, and what ours did, is it allows you to go to places and get into corners of the country that you wouldn't normally get into. And we had some great fun, taking it all around. And you're absolutely right. Sort of maintenance is important. And we had a couple of close escapes with various things. But it was great fun, great fun. And just having a big physical presence is a kind of big advertising board for creativity, for art, for Evan, just in itself, isn't it? Just dragging it around the roads of Cumbria. Yeah, a great thing to do.
If you think of some of the villages, it will stand out. It looks good. Aesthetically, it looks good. Langwathby on the village greens that we've got. We've kind of got the spaces for shepherd's huts.
Yeah.
And it sort of fits in. It stands out and fits in, which is kind of what I like. And to be fair, we could paint it any colour and then go back to the boards and do what we like with it, I like the natural look of it, but it's a thing now, isn't it? It'll have its own life.
Yeah, for sure. But lots of really warm comments for you, Simon, to have a look at in chat. People really inspired by this. And Kate saying, I'm an Evan member, and love the call out the other week to say it was available as a demonstration space. And the flexibility of its performance, or it's just a little hideaway or a place where you can spend a few hours, looks terrific. Well, I hope it's a real success story, and I look forward to seeing it on the road and in locations.
On the road,
and what a great, and hopefully it becomes, as you say, a little income stream for Evan and all the work that you do there as well. So thank you so much for telling us about it. Amy's saying, what's the best way to get in touch if you'd like to use the hut?
Probably the Evan website or my email. I'll put my email into chat.
That would be great. And Colin, the Shepherd's Hut is a brilliant, flexible space, a fabulous achievement, Simon, well done. Phil, fantastic. Gallery Northwest, probably Stuart, brilliant idea, Simon. And I saw Dave's comments earlier as well. Wow, this is fab. So lots of support, and I'm sure it might be a model that other people in other parts of the country might be interested in following up at some stage as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat. It could be anywhere, couldn't it? Any part.
Yeah, great. And Jane is saying she collaborated with the folks at Ragtag Arts, brilliant people in Kendal, a couple of years ago, to convert a caravan into a mobile scrap store. They might be interested in this as well. Absolutely, they're terrific people. I can't remember the name of the bloke who runs. It's a brother and sister, isn't it? Runs Ragtag Arts in Kendal. Thank you. But they're terrific people. And Charlie, good to see your note as well. Lovely stuff. Well, that's what's going on in Brampton, and that's what's going on with the Evan Network as well. Just to conclude the call this morning, thank you very much, Simon, for all of that. I just wanted to share something with you on screen, which is an idea which is about to bubble up and hopefully become a reality. It's a thing called Curated Cumbria, which if I can get my... there we go. I'm just going to share a picture with you of something. And the idea behind it is another way of hopefully getting awareness out around the county of what is going on. So I'm just going to share very much a mocked up image of what it will hopefully look like. So don't worry too much about the detail. Don't worry too much about the fact that it says, showing my screen, Carlisle, Wigton and Brampton, and that's just one part of Cumbria. I'm just going to flick to about. This is a collaboration of conversations, really. Hopefully my screen has changed so you can see the Cumbria Arts and Culture Network badge there, and also the intro badge here, which is the organisation that I was working with last night, run by Nick Turner and Helen Statham. The ambition behind Curated Cumbria, very early stages, is to become a regular weekly newsletter of basically what's going on in Cumbria, and it'll be through Substack, which some of you might have heard of. So this is the event that took place last night, which might become one of the stories on the first publication, which hopefully will come out tomorrow. Substack is a way of having a regular newsletter and a regular place for writing. So that's the way this is going to work. It's going to be called Curated Cumbria. We'll talk about it much more next week when the first editions come out. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that hopefully within the next few weeks, there will be a regular arts and culture events newsletter starting up called Curated Cumbria. So look out for that. We'll mention it in the newsletter. And also the ambition is very much going forwards. We'll have some proper previews and reviews written of big events going on in Cumbria, perhaps once a month, perhaps a bit more if we can find a bit of money to pay people to write the reviews. So it's going to be called Curated Cumbria. It'll be out and about from tomorrow. Bit of a soft launch, but I wanted you to know about it so that if you thought it was a good thing, you might want to respond to it. You might want to share it around. And the ambition is simply to help get the message out, another platform to help get the message about what's going on around Cumbria, what's great to go and watch and what's great to go and visit, but also potentially with some reviews of the big events in Cumbria as well. So that is the plan. That's the ambition, which you're still trying to work out the finance of how it might work, how the processes of getting information to there will be. But again, if you've got something going on, looking into the future that you would like to get into Curated Cumbria, there will be a process to get that information through and then some curation to get that into Curated Cumbria. So look out for that over the next few weeks, and hopefully the first one will appear tomorrow. I hope that makes sense. Bit of a rush job, but that's the plan, that's the ambition. Always good to be doing something new, just like that beautiful Shepherd's Hut and just like the lovely exhibition that we've had at Gallery Northwest this morning as well. That is it for this morning. Next week, we are going to hear about The Edge. Now, The Edge is obviously a guitarist in the band U2, but it's also a brand new building that's just opening in Whitehaven. You might have seen some pictures. It's a really beautiful modern design right on the harbour front in Whitehaven, which is a community space, including potentially some space for the arts and culture sector as well. So we're going to hear about The Edge, I think, from Deanne Shawcross, who's head of the Harbour Commissioners in Whitehaven. And we're also going to hear about the Good Souls exhibition at Hoker Hall, which has just opened. I think there's 10 artists there. Bob Sutcliffe is going to tell us about that. And hopefully someone to talk about Curated Cumbria once that first edition is out, to talk a bit more about the detail of what Curated Cumbria is all about. And then just another plug for June the 6th, so in 2 weeks' time, on this call on Friday morning at 9:30, Darren Henley, the Chief Executive of Arts Council England, is going to be on this call. I'll be chatting to him, chance to ask him some questions. He's got a book out about why art matters in Cumbria. But also, as you probably know, the Arts Council is going through a bit of a review at the moment. There's going to be the whole public sector spending announcement on June the 11th about how the government public spending is going to happen, where culture and arts will fit into that, where the Department for Culture, Media and Sport fits into that, and the outside arm to the Arts Council. So kind of these are pivotal moments for the Arts Council at the moment. So a good chance to get Darren on to talk about that as well. So that is the plan for 2 weeks' time. But next week, The Edge, the Good Souls exhibition, and a bit more on Curated Cumbria. I think we're done. Is everyone all right? Okay. Nice to see you all, as ever. And look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you very much to Simon and to Stuart and to Carl and to Tom for this morning. Catch you in a week's time.